Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
There it is, Alyce
Carved bear.
with a carved bear.
Not buying it.
The Todd-Cast is filmed before a live feline audience. All right, good evening, everybody. Once again, we're back. We're doing the fade in because I think it's kind of cool. And again, tonight, more about Colorado because of course, we live here and we can't get enough.
And it's big in comparison to other places, so
Large.
We've got a lot of territory to cover.
Large. We're gonna do the I-70 corridor this time. We're gonna go from Denver to the Utah border, to Grand Junction. So we'll see how well that works out tonight. I don't know. I'm at the point where I'm desperately trying to do all the right things and get all the right things set and done and everything, and I
have a hard time with this topic because I stop at Glenwood.
I
usually
know.
don't go past Glenwood.
I
Everything
know.
else west of Glenwood, it's like, okay,
Yeah, I know.
hi. But I don't go past Glenwood Springs. So.
Oh, that's here? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I do go to Grand Junction, but not as
not on a regular basis.
It's a hefty drive, and it's a lot of
Well,
time
yeah.
in the car.
I mean, you start to put some hours on the
Yeah,
car. Okay.
so-
I mean, once you get past Georgetown, then
it's a lot of nothing.
well, then you're invested. No, there's a lot of mountains.
It's a
It's
lot
like,
of
as a
road.
skier,
Yeah.
I beg to differ.
I was gonna say,
That's when
And-
things start to get interesting.
and as a rock hound, it's like, what do you mean nothing? Anyway, so Colorado's big.
Yeah.
It's amazingly big, and you really don't know how big Colorado is until you get into it.
Mhm.
It's
It's also big because even if you as a crow flies, you think, oh, it's so many miles from east to west, but there's a whole lot of up and down to get from one end to the other.
Yeah.
So it's not the as a crow fly mile it's more road miles are a lot of up and down and a lot of wind and
there's
yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
of this. There's a lot of this, and a
Mhm.
lot of that, and then there's a tunnel.
And then there's a tunnel.
Yes, the Eisenhower Tunnel.
Yay.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little later tonight too. Tonight we're going to be doing the I-70 corridor, and we're going to start basically in what I like to call the foothill communities. And that's where we're going to begin. And from there, we will move along. We'll go through Golden, then the foothill communities. Then we'll go to Idaho Springs, like you guys have seen hopefully have seen the video for Idaho Springs. If not, I will put a link at the end card for that one again. After Idaho Springs is Georgetown, Silver Plume, and Empire. Those are the silver towns. Those are the silver mining towns. Very, very important. And I will also put the link for the Georgetown Loop.
That was so
Video.
good.
It
That
was
was so
fun.
We
much
had so much
fun.
fun.
It was fun.
And we're inspired for a new Christmas tradition for the family too. So
Look for that video in Christmas time or just after the new year. After that will be Silverthorne, Dillon, and Frisco. Dillon Reservoir.
Dillon's one of my favorite mountain towns, right behind Grand Lake. I love Dillon.
Dillon is a fun
It's a-
fun place.
It
Well,
is. Yeah.
I enjoyed that camping trip we did.
Me too.
You guys did it.
Yeah,
I
we
didn't do it.
you weren't with us on that one, but
I don't camp.
that's when Dad had the boat.
Yeah.
And yeah, he discovered that pulling that boat over the hill
well,
was
and
little
having
harder.
a boat is not as grand of an idea as it sounds.
It was learning the hard way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Let's see. After that is Vale, of course, and that's entering into again more ski towns.
town.
Yes.
Because Vale,
you
we've got,
skipped over a whole bunch of ski towns, but I'll
I'm-
cover that later.
well, they're not really on I-70.
Copper is.
Not really.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's right
But,
after
yeah.
Dillon, you hang a left.
And Loveland is right there as
Ooh.
you can ski on.
Yeah.
The Eisenhower
and
Trail.
Breckenridge and yeah.
Breckenridge is off.
A little
I will
bit.
agree
And
with
Keystone
you.
is off a little bit.
And A
but
Basin and Keystone are off.
they're
a little
still
bit.
great towns. Breck is a really cool town to hang out in.
Yeah. And then we go on to Avon and Edwards, which I know very little about. And then Eagle and Gypsum again, which I know very little about. Then Glenwood Springs.
Yes.
I know about Glenwood Springs. And
Cool history in Glenwood Springs.
we have a celebrity of the Old West about Glenwood Springs, and we'll bring that up a little later. Let's see. In Glenwood Springs and related communities around there is Newcastle, Silt, and then Rifle.
Mhm.
And Kris has got a connection to Rifle.
I do. It was the first place that I technically lived once I was adopted.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Exactly.
very cool.
Exactly. Let's see. After Rifle is Battlement Mesa and Parachute. And we also, now this is the weird pronunciation. We don't know if it's pronounced Dubuque, Debec, Debequa.
Or some Ute word that
Right.
we're
Mhm.
anglicizing, so
Well,
we don't know.
Well, it's again, we're back to the anglicized into French. So anyway,
I mean, it makes
Yeah.
sense.
But Europeanized.
We were part of the Louisiana Purchase, so we were French territory for a long time.
for a while, yeah. Actually, no, I take that back. No, we weren't. We were Spanish territory.
Spanish territory, and then we were part of the Louisiana Purchase, so France took it over because they bought it from Thomas Jefferson.
Let me see. And then after that is Grand Junction, which has Palisade, Fruitvale, Clifton, Orchard Mesa, Redlands, and Fruita. So,
In case you didn't pick up on it, it's famous for fruit.
Fruits
yeah. And,
And-
vineyards
and corn
and corn.
and what else? Apples, plums.
Pears,
Yeah.
peaches,
Oh.
nectarines. Oh,
Yeah,
So, yeah, that's
stone
that's
fruits of all your kind.
that's
you know,
right.
we've got a lot to get through tonight. And we're going to start in the foothill communities. And this is where Kris is going to lead us off and talk about the foothill communities.
Well, we can start with Golden, but we covered Golden already when we were talking about Denver Metro, so I won't go into it too much. Other than that, it is the home to Colorado School of Mines, home to Coors,
Home to you.
home to me. Well, yes, I went to Golden
You
Golden
lived
High
there.
School and lived there for a time until we lived up on Lookout Mountain, which is still technically Golden, but for the locals, we distinguish Lookout from the rest. So heading up I-70 or I-40, which is parallel to I-70 along that stretch of road. Like I said, Lookout Mountain. When I was up there, when we lived up there, it was a fairly small community, but within it, there are a couple of great, I guess mansions, for lack of a better word, where you can, like my best friend got married up there. It's home to Buffalo Bill's grave, where I worked as a high school kid and my first semester of college, and then continuing. Well, and then on the, let me think, south side is Genesee, which for us Lookout Mountain kids, that was like the snobby community. Now they're kind of all one and the same, because there are some very expensive homes over in the Lookout Mountain area now that weren't there when I was growing up. Although that said, Lookout Mountain is where the Coors family, many like Bill Coors, lived up there. Kind of over by the big antenna that you see, the big radio towers. Continuing up I-70, you can first, you go over the best view of the Rocky Mountains.
Floyd Hill is
Floyd Hill.
stunning.
Yes.
Like that's when
All of
you
our
see those
favorite
videos
views.
of people driving I-70 and that crest that you make, and you see the whole valley.
And the
right in
whole
front of
the
you.
whole range of mountains, and it's just a
Chuck has-
spectacular view.
You have some that was in the Georgetown video and the Idaho Springs video.
Actually, it's also at the beginning of this video as well.
Yay.
So yeah,
So,
it's that the overpass that frames the valley
Yeah.
Absolutely.
was actually used as a cover photo for a Colorado road map. Oh
Makes sense. It's
God, what
beautiful.
was his shoes back
When they had printed maps.
in the mid 70s? I want to say it was around 76
Was
or
it
77.
The Centennial map? you
It may
think?
have been.
May
It
have been, and
Yeah,
that
we
was
have one of
about
those.
when I-70 was completed.
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
Then as you go, and then on that Floyd Hill, if you're not too busy gawking at the view, if you look to the left or to the right, there is a buffalo overlook. The last couple of times we've been up there, the buffalo have not been close to the road, so we weren't able to see them. But sometimes they're just hanging out right there, and they're kind of fun to see as you go by. Next is Chief Hosa, which is another common place for locals to get married.
I don't think I've ever been to Chief Hosa.
I confess I have not
Driven
either.
by it. I know exactly where it's at,
Yep.
but I do not think I've ever set foot on Chief Hosa.
I have once, and that was
Okay.
for a friend's wedding. It was for Joe and Denise.
Yeah, I
Okay.
know
When
that
they
they
got
were
married.
married up there.
Yeah, and that's back when I was dating somebody else, and we went there because we were working at the same haunted house together.
Right. Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
Never been.
And
Driven
then
by it.
keep going. And for me, there's El Rancho.
Never been
And
there either.
although I think that's actually after Evergreen. So you exit Evergreen is kind of the next exit
Mhm.
after Chief Hosa. And Evergreen's a nice community.
It's a good town. And they have
Yeah.
a great cool lake and great
That's
hiking
right.
in Evergreen.
Mhm.
Great hiking. Some of my favorite hikes is Three Sisters,
Yeah.
which is a great hike, and then Eagle's Nest. Those are two really cool hikes. You're not even 20 minutes out of Denver, and you have some beautiful hiking.
And there's
So,
enough elevation that
Mhm.
Lake Evergreen actually does freeze enough in the winter, most winters, to be able to do ice skating. on
Yeah,
there.
that's
So,
fun. I love doing that.
yeah. And then the town, I mean, there is more like the tourist part of the town is fun. It's a popular place for motorcycles to go
Yeah.
on the weekends.
Yep.
Again, because it's close to town, you can take another route. You don't have to take I-70. You can take another route up there that's a little more scenic. And so there's some popular restaurants and places up there to stop and shop around.
that Morrison Run is very popular
Yeah.
with the motorcycle crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's that Morrison, Evergreen, Aspen Park
exactly.
whole thing there.
Yep.
And then they go down up over the pass and down into the valley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's also popular with mountain bikers or
Yeah.
road bikers too, not motorized ones. Been there, done that.
No.
I rode my
No.
bike a lot when I lived up on Lookout Mountain.
No, thank you.
Nope.
No.
And so-
Not this kid. Nope.
Yep. You'd never know it the way I huff and puff my way up the mountain, but I did go
no.
up and down the mountain quite a lot.
Chuck and I did not do that at all as youngsters or as adulters. Nope.
And then after Evergreen and El Rancho, you're out of Jefferson County and you're officially in the mountains.
Yeah.
And for me, the big indication is you go down the other side and around a curve, and as you curve around, you meet up with 6th Avenue, which is the road that goes up from Golden through Central City and Blackhawk and places like that. And to me, once those two roads come together, you're officially in the mountains and out of the foothills. And then there's a place that we all stop to rent our skis. In Brownsville, if you know it, you know it. If you know, you know. And then off you go. Up into the mountains.
And then that's when you're really at good altitude as well. So I think that's where.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I honestly don't think, and this is my personal thing, is I don't feel like I'm in the mountains until I hit Idaho Springs.
Okay.
Once I hit Idaho Springs, then we're in the mountains.
All right.
Yeah.
That's not that much further.
No, not at all. Not at all. I got to get through those two tunnels.
The two little tunnels.
I got to get through the little tunnel.
Yeah, okay. I can see that.
Yeah. And I will put that little tunnel run right here.
Yeah, because
you know.
that's, yeah.
You know,
So,
because,
okay.
yeah.
The ones you can hold your breath, to.
I was going to say, so here's mountain kid tradition with tunnels through the mountains.
Always.
In our Chuck and I family, we would scream. We would hold a note, not necessarily screaming. We would hold a sustained note.
Well, Mother would want us to hold the sustained note.
Through the tunnel. And you would, even Grandpa would do it. He'd be like, okay, everybody get ready. And then we would go for it. And it was like you could do the world's worst sound or whatever. You got to choose. But that was what we would do. We would make these really fun noises in the back seat. Kris brings the tradition of holding your breath. Now, when we do talk about Eisenhower Tunnel, that's kind of ridiculous because it's over a mile.
Very true.
And
is it a mile?
It's a hot minute.
It's a long tunnel.
It's a long one. No, I prefer the screaming method than the holding your breath method. But that is mountain kid tradition. Like that's what every family or every group has their own ish, and you would do it. And any tunnel you would go through, that's what you do because there's a lot of tunnels through our mountains, not just on the I-70 corridor. So you got opportunities. Moffett Tunnel when I did it on the Winter Park ski train.
Oh yeah.
In my head, I was holding a note.
Okay, great.
I was with other people, and it was like it was a
Total
public
strangers.
thing, so I didn't want to be like that would have been crazy.
If that's the case, then it's the most annoying sound in the world, right there.
But it's like there's enough tunnels to make that tradition something that mountain kids do. So there you go. That's
The other one was Make a Wish.
Yeah, there's Make a Wish. There's other folks that honk their horn through the entirety.
Honk the horn, yeah.
It is very echoey, so you can.
Yeah,
it's kind of
and
fun.
anymore now without the convertibles and everything else, or the windows open.
I wouldn't want to do that in the Eisenhower Tunnel.
Well, actually, in the Eisenhower Tunnel, it'd be better because there's ventilation. There's actual ventilation.
A lot of car exhaust.
But it is very. You can
Again,
smell it.
there's actual
I know,
ventilation.
but still, it's like ugh.
Still stinky.
It's that would have been some of the things that a lot of people would do because you'd honk the horn, you could hear the echo. Again, with convertibles and windows that are open, because back before AC,
you did, and Grandpa would honk his horn too, like it would just make noise. Like, make noise.
Yeah,
so.
that was when we do our Sunday drives, and that was a little bit of fun weirdness. But speaking of tunnels. I don't mean to cut you out. Are you done with the mountain communities?
Well, before we get to Eisenhower.
Yes.
Is the first ski area I want to talk about.
Go for it.
All right. And that's Loveland. So Loveland is two ski areas, actually. Loveland Basin and Loveland Valley. Loveland Valley was opened first. And here's where I have to look at my notes to get the specs. First opened in 1936. It's been around a while. It's on the east side of the tunnel, which is why I wanted to jump on that. And the resort crosses the divide. In fact, you think it would be like on the tunnel, but it's not. You cross the divide before the tunnel, actually. And so back in when they had the lift between the two ski areas, now they use a bus instead of a lift. And you would pass the Continental Divide sign while you were sitting on the ski lift. So that was kind of fun. Anyway, it has... I was going to say a few of the runs at Loveland Basin are actually on top of the tunnel. It's a nice kind of bowl that they built the tunnel through. One thing to remember about tunnels, and I don't know if you were going to say this, if I'm stealing your thunder, is that tunnels aren't built to go through a mountain at the base. Tunnels are at the top of the peak, just before the peak. So so you can see the peak before you go into the tunnel. It's
less rock to dig through.
That's right. You get up as far as you can, and then you start digging.
It's also less weight that's over the top of the tunnel.
Exactly. Yeah. It's usually one of the first to open for the year, for the season, and it boasts more average snowfall than many of the other resorts, averaging about 400 inches. So snowfall in the mountains is tracked in inches, which is just over 33 feet, just to give you some idea. So it's deep. Another feature that they offer is now there's a Ridgecat snow tour that's free with your lift ticket purchase, that takes you over to the north side of the ridge. So I haven't experienced that. That's new since I've been skiing there. Base elevation is 10,000 feet, plus or minus. The basin's a little higher than that. And the top elevation is just over 13,000 feet. So it's actually pretty high for a ski area. And as someone who skied there every weekend because it was a scheduled thing, nowadays I'm a Colorado native skier and I only go when the weather's nice. But then I skied whenever the bus went up there, which was every Sunday through the ski season. And skiing up there in weather is cold. They would shut the top quite often. So this is definitely a local ski area. It's a smaller resort. And it's still privately owned by the family that's run it for generations. So that's kind of fun. It's easy to get to because it's before the tunnel.
Good parking, by the way.
Decent parking. That's right. And let's see. It's a small resort with about 1,800 acres of terrain. So some of these numbers will start to make sense as I'm rattling them off for the other ski areas. And 94 runs. So that's really not that many compared to some of the others that have like hundreds of runs. So it's only 13% beginner run, which is funny because this is where I learned how to ski.
There's only 13% of their runs are greens?
Yeah.
Really?
But I think it's because they're all together. The valley, there's a big area in Loveland Valley. This is where I learned how to ski. This is where their ski schools are. And it is, so like a lot of those green runs are right there together. And so it seems like it's bigger when you're learning how to ski because it's all collective there.
Well, and I've seen it. So it
exactly.
Visually, it feels bigger than what that is. That's cool.
That's
interesting.
Yeah. They have an excellent ski school, if I do say so. The longest run is 2 miles. There are other ski resorts that have longer runs, but that's a long run for a small resort. And it's nice because, it's one lift ride and you have you're kind of set for a while. You can get off midway on that lift. And a lot of folks do if you're not, for one thing, because often the peak is closed because of weather. So they do have a place where you can get off midway. And then, like I said, I was about 4 or 5 when I learned how to ski up there. So I've been skiing there for a while. And then when I was in junior high, I don't know if this still happens, but Golden ran a bus up to Loveland every Sunday. And so it was a fun way for all of us in junior high to jump on that bus and be able to enjoy a day at Loveland without our parents. So we had a good time. And our daughter Kat also learned how to ski there. So now it's a tradition. This is where my family learns how to ski. For the rest of the ski areas, Chuck's going to talk about the tunnel, but keep in mind that I-70 was not completed until the 70s with the completion of the tunnel. So I do remember we used to go up to Vail for mining conventions, and I do remember that we would wait forever because they would close the road for like an hour or two to be building it, to be building the tunnel, to be building all of that. And when I was growing up, getting to the ski areas early on, I think one of the reasons that we chose Loveland was because to get to any of the other ski areas, you had to go over Loveland Pass. There was no tunnel. And Loveland Pass is an intense pass in the winter. So, yeah.
I've been on top of there with a workshop that I did, without snow. And it's pretty, the wind up there can be super intense.
Yep.
So, again, you're 13,000 feet, you're on top of the earth. There's going to be wind. And I can imagine with it
in the winter
time and that kind of cold. Yeah. You gotta shut it down because that's insane.
Mom, family story was Mom had to drive she and I to Denver when I was a baby. They had a Carmen Ghia, which is famous for its heater and defroster to not work, which of course it wasn't working. It was snowing.
Welcome to that German engineering.
Right. My mom learned how to drive after she got married, and was never really a fan. So driving, think about you having to do this, right?
Oh,
so
no.
I'm screaming in the back. she's singing Baba Black Sheep over and over again because it was the only thing that would keep me somewhat calm, and trying to maneuver this Carmen Gio with no heat and no defroster over a Loveland Pass in a blizzard. I mean, I'm here to tell the story, so we got through it. But yeah, that was one of those.
Well, Loveland Pass is intense. I mean,
yeah,
it's a
even in the summer.
It's
a real pass.
It's not Wolf Creek-esque, but it's still a good one.
It's still a good one. Yeah. Anyway, so now I'll turn it over to you for Eisenhower.
Well, okay. Before Eisenhower, though, we're going to go to Silverthorne, Dillon, and Frisco.
Those are on the other side.
No, they're on the same side. Oh no, you're right. You go through
Just
the tunnel.
Just barely.
You drop into the towns.
Yeah.
That's
right.
one of the cool views is that when you drop through on the other side of the tunnel, you've got Lake Dillon right there, and it's awesome.
Yeah. So just to give you guys some perspective, we have already bypassed Georgetown and Silver Plume.
Mm-hmm.
They're behind us.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you can watch the video on Georgetown. Again, that's so much fun.
So fun.
That was
such a great day.
You found a carved bear.
There it is. Alyce
Carved bear.
with a carved bear.
Not buying it. I did, but I didn't buy it.
We know.
We
know
better than to buy a carved bear.
So yeah. Anyway, Eisenhower Tunnel. Yay!
Yay! All right. While you're talking about that, I'm going to look at that
Okay.
up.
That's
Okay.
pretty much what it sounds like in the car.
Well, in her head.
I said.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to go through the Eisenhower Tunnel. The Eisenhower Tunnel, officially known as the Eisenhower Edwin C. Johnson Memorial Tunnel.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Johnson stands for Edwin Johnson, former governor of Colorado.
I was going to say there's two sides. Like each tunnel's named something different.
Yes. The westbound side, from the east to the westbound side, is the Eisenhower
Right?
Tunnel.
Yes.
The west to the eastbound bore is known as the Edwin C. Johnson Memorial Tunnel. Now, until 1979, there was only one bore and only one side. Both lanes of the highway went through the Eisenhower Tunnel.
Right.
I remember that.
Yeah. In 1980,
Vaguely, I remember that.
in 1980, the eastbound side of the highway got their own bore.
Got it.
Once they figured out that they could actually do this thing, they said, "Hey, let's start digging again."
Well, and
you know,
traffic.
well, there was a lot of it. The Eisenhower Tunnel opened in 1973.
Yay! Good things happened in 1973.
Yeah, you know, my sister.
Great things happened in 1973.
Let's see. And it was open. The westbound bore was named the Dwight D. Eisenhower Memorial Tunnel. The reason it was named after him is because Eisenhower was the guy who started the interstate program in the United States, and he was all enamored by the Autobahn system in Germany because they had this huge road system that could handle troops, military equipment, tanks, everything, and you could get troops quickly from one end of the country to the other. Yeah. And it was quick, fast, easy, beautiful. And they were beautiful roads. They're absolutely beautiful roads. In 1930s and 1940s, these were gorgeous highways.
They still are.
Okay. I've never been.
When there's no speed limit, you must have good roads or you're going to kill people.
That's true.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, President Eisenhower said it was going to be the public works thing. We were going to put people to work. We have all of these, veterans who are no longer in the military, and it's the 1950s. And by gosh, we have money. Let's do it. And boy, did they do it. The interstate system did kill a lot of other smaller communities and bypass a lot of other smaller communities, but to this day, it opened up the country to a lot more travel.
Yeah.
To a huge amount of travel. Let's see.
The family road trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was no longer just Route 66.
No,
this was now, where do you want to go?
End to end.
Yep. Where do you want to go?
Keep in mind that Route 66 and other roads like that also, the same thing was said about, you're killing off the rail towns.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
as they became less passenger rail and more just commercial rail.
Now, to that, though, the interstate system, 9 times out of 10, followed the railways.
Well, yeah, because
Because
that's where they figured
the
out
work
what
had
it-
already been done.
They already did it. They already took care of that.
Yeah, the work had already been done.
And there's power
So-
lines, and there's
And a lot of the railways followed the cattle trails.
that's true.
So, yeah, again,
They already took care of it.
yeah, don't reinvent the wheel.
Exactly.
You know, you've already got the route. Just
Well,
pave
that's
the
why
route.
70 and 40 are parallel for many, many miles. 'cause
oh, indeed.
40 was the
Yeah, that was the route. That
The
was the
route.
route across Colorado for the longest time.
yeah until 70 was built, and
Yeah.
then I remember I-25 not being finished as well, where you had to get off in New Mexico. It wasn't
Yeah.
completed until late 70s.
We never got to do that.
Oh, we did because
well,
my grandparents were retired down there.
Well,
so.
yeah, we did not,
Mm-hmm.
and
I'm okay with that.
yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm really am.
Sorry, not sorry. I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah, I love my friends in New Mexico. I do. I truly love you. But
I mean,
back in the day, that's okay. I didn't want to do
Pueblo was.
that. Was getting close.
That was a highlight, and
Yeah.
whoa. Okay, we'll turn around.
Yeah, and we're done at Pueblo.
No offense, Pueblo, but
Yeah. Let's see.
not my cup
The
of tea.
tunnel itself, that is, yeah, 1.693 miles.
Well, there you go.
So it's over 1.5 miles length through the mountain. Let's see. The Edwin Johnson Memorial Tunnel is 1.697 miles. So only 4
It
thousandths.
It takes a little bit more of a turn. Like it,
Yeah,
it
it
bends
bends
a
a
little
little.
more, so
It
that
does.
adds that
It does.
4/1000th of a mile
Right.
to
Exactly.
things.
4 1,000ths of a mile. Yeah.
Makes a difference.
Sure. Anyway, the tunnels are sloped at a 1.64% grade,
Yes, they are.
with an elevation of 11,000
Mhm.
feet
Mm-hmm.
at the east portal and 11,158 feet at the west portal.
So here are two more reasons why holding your breath is not a good idea.
Yeah.
Because
Um,
you're over a mile and you're at elevation.
Right.
Yeah.
So
And you're talking about, you cross the divide before you get to the tunnel? No, you don't. There's a sign on the inside of the tunnel that you cross the divide.
well, she was talking about the ski lift.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
That was the difference, not the
Okay.
tunnel itself.
Because, and that was the,
Okay. Yeah. I thought, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I thought that the sign was on that lift between the two, but it must be on the lift that goes up over the Eisenhower Tunnel.
it
yeah.
has to be,
Has to
because
be.
there's a sign on the inside of the tunnel that you are crossing the Continental
And
Divide.
you applaud that sign.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Everybody
go by,
applauds the sign. Yay! We're on the west slope.
golf clap, yay.
Yeah,
and then we-
much rejoicing.
And then we move on. Let's see. And that's pretty much all the information I had about. No, I take that back. One of the first female engineers in Colorado was hired on to do that tunnel.
Nice.
And there were people that walked off the job when she showed up on site, which is
nice.
absolutely stupid and horrible.
Yay!
But fantastic. Yeah, she was one of the first female engineers. And I think the first female engineer in Colorado. I can't really say to that if that's correct. But it was one of those things I saw on the Colorado experience that I had to,
Of course.
Thank you again, History Colorado and PBS.
Yay!
Yay.
Not
Colorado
sponsored,
and-
but we love you.
Yeah,
Lots of great information.
we are those geeks that actually watch PBS.
Love
Okay.
PBS.
Love
Wednesday
PBS.
night PBS is my jam.
Will agree.
Nature and
Will agree.
Nova
Yeah.
back to back.
Oh,
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
2 hours
yeah.
gone.
Oh, science. Science.
Wednesday night.
Feast
It's my
right
thing.
there. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Anyway, that's about all I had for the Eisenhower Tunnel. It's and then when you exit, then yes, you get into
You drop down.
Silverthorne,
Big stuff.
Dillon, and Frisco.
So there's a couple things to note that you are at the mercy of the weather.
Mhm.
Traveling on that still, it is notorious and known to close. When they close the tunnel and you hear that on the news, you know that they're referring to the Eisenhower Tunnel. And it wind is big up there and it will blizzard up there quickly. So it is something that is common in winter to have the tunnel closed. So if you are traveling here in the winter for those ski resorts like Breck, Keystone, all of or Dillon, going to Glenwood, just be prepared that that is a possibility of it happening to you.
Right.
You will have
Absolutely,
weather to deal with, and they will close the tunnel, and they better close the tunnel because that grade is intense.
Yep.
And
It's like 6%.
it will
or something.
ice up
Yeah.
in a hot second, and it
Right.
is terrifying.
That's
So,
one of the more disconcerting things. And when I had the Pony Express route that went up to Silverthorne and to Dillon, during the wintertime, when the tunnel is open, there's no ice in the tunnel.
Of course not.
But on either side,
Yeah. So
especially the West Slope.
you go slow when you're on the westbound. You're going slow to get into the tunnel. Once you get into the tunnel, you can go up to closer to highway speed. The problem is coming out of the tunnel,
Everyone's.
everything else is just a sheet of ice down that
It
grade.
is.
Mm-hmm.
It's. I've driven
And
it.
the
So scary.
gravel that they put on the roads is not the nice little tiny pea size of
No,
gravel
it's
that they
rocks.
have down here. It's marble
Yeah.
sizes. Okay, this is serious gravel on the road, and it will smash your windshield.
Mhm.
It will do it. But coming down out of there, you're right. It's
It's
sunny
lot.
and bright on the east portal. On the west portal, it could be snow, it could be rain, it could be bright and sunny,
it could be both.
it could be fog.
Yeah,
You know.
all of that. It's a lot.
Or
So,
Yeah.
vice versa.
yeah.
I've
Yeah.
been like, we're at Loveland ski area going, oh, this is going to be a terrible day to go skiing, but we're heading further west and you get to the other side and it's bright and sunny.
Right, and
You're
you
like,
know, of course,
"Yay!"
then the chorus opens up. Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so I guess
My point is just pay attention to what the weather is telling you and what the weather folks tell you, and the the professionals are saying don't drive it.
Right.
And if you're bringing your own car, or even if
Oh.
you're renting a car, no, if you're planning on going up
Yeah,
there, they've changed the laws recently, and you must have 4-wheel drive, and you must have
winter.
winter
tires
tires.
and chains
and,
are
and occasionally you need chains.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you don't have the winter tires, you must have chains.
exactly.
Mhm.
If you don't have chains, you must have the winter tires.
And the winter tires, you must be able to stick a quarter in and
halfway.
yeah,
halfway.
you have to have good tires.
And
Good
if you
treads.
don't drive it.
Well,
And-
they'll pull
and
you off the road.
I
They'll
mean,
pull you
it's
off
just
the road, and if
not
you cause an
safe.
accident,
They'll-
the fees are enormous.
Yeah, they'll pull you off the road, and you'll end up buying tires.
Yeah.
So,
Now let's go there. With all that said, let's go.
well, actually, let's go to Dillon.
Well, and then you can talk Breck and Keystone
Oh, yeah.
and all that fun
On
stuff.
my list.
Some
Oh,
of
yeah.
those are some of my favorite towns.
Oh,
I
yeah.
really do like that I-70 corridor, and
Oh
Dillon
gosh,
is
yes.
awesome.
Mhm. Dillon
Well,
is
okay.
amazing.
And see that I like Dillon. I've always liked Dillon Reservoir.
Love Dillon Reservoir.
I've never caught a fish in Dillon Reservoir.
I
I know Dad has because
has.
yeah, he
don't
showed.
know if I have either.
I know that Dad did when we went camping when Katie was very little.
Yeah.
It was Kat's first experience seeing a trout
Yeah.
live and realizing it had teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's a
Fish have
predator.
teeth.
It's a predator fish. You know, there it
They have
is.
gnarly looking teeth, actually.
They do. They're little tiny sharks.
Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, they're little tiny sharks. Not really. But anyway, Dillon is a lot of fun for boating, a lot of fun for a lot of water sports. I don't think there's really any swimming.
No, it's too
No,
cold.
it's too cold. But and you know the history of Dillon, right?
Some.
So they flooded out a town.
hmm
Yes.
So they created the reservoir by damming some of the rivers, and it actually flooded the town of Dillon.
Yeah.
Yep. it did.
So the old town Dillon. So every once in a while, sometimes if the water level drops a little bit, or if it gets super cold and it gets a lot clearer, you can look down and you can see the original town of Dillon on the bottom of the lake.
The same with Horsetooth Reservoir.
Yeah. So it's like kind of weird. You're like, wait, is that yes, it's a whole building down there. And
Yeah.
they just cleared everybody out and then flooded the whole thing. So
Yeah.
little,
It's extremely deep and extremely cold.
very cool. They do a lot of sailboating on it.
Yes, they
Yeah,
do.
they do.
I remember
There's
that.
a marina.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a marina.
And windsurfing.
Yes.
Yeah, so all above the water activities.
Yeah.
Not in the water.
You really don't
activities.
want to be in this water. Well, once again, we're talking about the temperature of the water in Colorado. It's cold, folks.
Snow fed.
It's really cold.
freezing.
Okay.
And because it's so deep,
And at
it
altitude.
doesn't
I mean,
warm
you're
up.
all
Yeah.
of everything against you.
Yeah.
You can wade in up to your ankles probably, and that's about it.
That's about it. And honestly, that's where doing the dry waders that Dad and I have, I will do that because that way I do stay slightly warmer.
Yeah, but still.
It helps. I mean, neoprene's great, but I mean, so Dillon is a great town, but there's some beautiful ski areas up there.
Yes.
World-renowned ski areas for big competitions. So
Olympic level.
yeah.
Yes.
I learned how to ski in Breck.
Did you really?
I did. That's where I learned how to ski. Was Breckenridge.
All right. Yeah. So the first one you'll come to up that once you get off at Dillon is Keystone, and it's it opened. You know, I feel like when it opened, it was a ski resort, but it was really a winter activities resort.
Yes.
They have a lake up there that you can skate on.
Their ski town, the ski resort area is awesome.
Yeah. But it
fun.
opened that way. So some of these places opened and then they built the resort around it.
Cool.
But this one opened with that idea in mind. And they have like tubing and sleigh rides and all kinds of fun stuff. There's lodging there at Keystone. Whoops. And it's a nice little village, you know, it's surrounding the little lake. And so it's cool. It first opened in 1970. It is definitely a family-friendly resort. Yes. So a good place for out-of-towners to come. You can stay there. There's plenty of things to do, even if you're not a skier. So the skier and the family can go skiing, and there's still plenty of things winter things or summer things to do there. When it first opened in 70, most of the slopes, I think, faced either west or south. So it was really icy, and I didn't like it. But now, I think it was like in the early 80s, maybe they opened the North Peak, which of course was north facing, and skiing there was a delight. So now I'm like just as happy to go to Keystone as any other place. You just got to get over to that.
Just got to get over the tunnel.
Yeah. And now there's a whole bunch more. It's 3,000 acres of terrain across 3 peaks and 5 bowls. Base elevation's 9,300 feet, and the highest is 12,400. 139 trails and 235 inches of snowfall. They also offer night skiing, so that's an unusual thing. I know they offer it, and I think Breck
does.
Breck offers
Christmas
it.
One.
Yeah, and I think Aspen does too.
Or Vail. No, it's Vail Mountain.
Is it Vail?
Yeah, because they do the trail, the torch ski on Christmas Eve. That's Vail.
But I don't know if they have it all year round or if it's just that special event. Yeah, so that's Keystone. And then if you keep going, or if you
skipping a jump,
don't go through the tunnel and you go over Loveland Pass, at the top of the pass is a basin or Arapahoe Basin. This is choice ski area for the local college students and young adults. I know it certainly was for me. This is like the hangout. It's definitely geared toward like singles. They have a whole parking lot that if it was a football game, you'd call it tailgating, but it's just like party central. They call it the pool area. Probably because it turns into a big pool in the spring. I know, but yeah, so it's near the top of Loveland Pass. Some of the highest elevation skiing in the country. Opens in early October or mid-October, and it closes late in June.
It's usually the last ski resort to close. You know we've hit summer when A Basin closes.
Exactly. I know. They keep having the goal of being open till the 4th of July and never quite make it, but they make it into mid to late June, so they get close. It is challenging terrain. It is definitely intermediate and above. Back, when I was skiing there, I was very good and would ski the back bowls and, have a really good time up there. I don't know if I'd have as much fun there now. It's also one of the places where, the spring skiing, Even though you're way up high, you're also in the sun. And, women would ski in bikinis
top,
and
yeah.
short, and I never quite did shorts, but I did short sleeves. And so I'd have weird sunburn because you keep your gloves on, but you'd have.
Well, it's still snow, but it's hot.
Yeah,
I mean, you
but
get
it's
hot.
warm. Yeah, and that's, but you're up at elevation. It opened in 1946, so it has been around a while. Has 145 trails and 10,700 feet at the base, and the top is 13,000 more or less. Only 70% beginner, and more than 70% is diamond or double diamond, which are the advanced, super advanced. Yeah, so it is definitely the locals and good skiers resort of choice, but it's a lot of fun. If you're of that caliber, it's a lot of fun. And what is this? Oh, Breck. And then the last one up there is Breckenridge, that we all call Breck, right? It opened in 1961, so it's been around longer than one might think, but that was just what is now called Peak 8. Its base is 9,600, goes up to almost 13,000 feet, 187 trails, so compared to like what I was saying for Loveland, right? Good mix of from green to double diamond. And for those who are unfamiliar, so a green square is the easiest, and then is it a circle?
Blue.
No, it's a circle, and then a blue square is intermediate, and then the black diamond is advanced, and then double diamond is expert. It is longest run is 3.5 miles, so that's a lot to do on one run. 355 inches of snow. So it's another one that's great as far as that goes. And as you've already elaborated, another family-friendly resort, lots to do in the winter and in the summer. It's just, it's a great place as a destination. I know in the summer, I'd ride my bike between Breckenridge and Dillon. Is it Dillon?
Yeah.
And, it sounds terrifying, but actually the road is fairly level. And yes, it's uphill to get to Breckenridge, but you don't really notice until you're coming back to Dillon and you're like, I don't have to pedal.
That's why driving up to Breck is really super
nice
because it's pretty flat. One of my cool things about Breckenridge is they do the ice castle.
They do
festival in the wintertime where they have world-renowned ice sculptors and from Europe even that come through, and they do these neat sculptures and make these ice castles, and they have a big competition. And it's a big, a destination thing that you go to. And we've never done it. It's on another bucket list.
Me too. Yeah.
It's cold. So, and getting there, sometimes the tunnel's closed, so you have to be just,
but
at the mercy. But it's really cool, and people come from all around the world to go to this ice festival and ice castle festival. They build a maze and a kind of an obstacle course for kids out of snow. It's really fun. It's a really cool thing. So
actually,
Breck does that.
Was it Keystone? Keystone, I guess, now has a big snow fort at the top.
Yes, for kids. They started that. Yeah, that's cool.
So again, two really great destination resorts, winter or summer, to go to in the mountains, where you can just park in one lodge and
go to both. They're that close.
They are that close, but also the lodge. There's lodging in both of them. Both of them are kind of little villages within themselves, and Breckenridge has a city, has been or not a city, but as
great food up there.
As a town was around longer than the ski area. It's it's one of those where they built a ski area around the town. So that's that. And then, do I keep going?
Sure, because you have to hit Copper. That's what
I know. Next one is Copper. I know I've said it a lot, but one of my favorite skiers.
Okay, now in relation, where is Copper?
So we're back on I-70 from Dillon, and it's the next exit after Dillon, if not maybe two exits, but it's not that far away.
So is
from
it
Dillon.
after Frisco then?
It's the same. It's the same exit. You take Frisco Copper. It's that same exit.
Okay.
Exit.
So Copper was opened in 1972. base at 9,700 square feet. Summit is a little over 12,000 square feet. It's a good mix of green to double diamond. The longest run is 1.7 miles. Most of the slopes are north and east facing. So again, love this ski area. The powder is fluffy. The packed powder isn't icy. It's amazing, but you do want to pay attention to what direction the slope is facing if you don't want to ski ice. Let me see here. There's lodging on site. There wasn't always, but now there's a nice village there. It's an interesting place. Open. You can kind of ski there year round. Not ski, but they have ski schools where you can learn how to do advanced skills like the pipes for the snowboarders and jumps for skiing. They actually have indoor and outdoor training facilities for that kind of stuff, where you learn how to do the jumps and the pipes, where you have just big foam cushions to land on until you figure out what you're doing before you go out to the snow. And Kat went there one summer. They have there's a company that runs this out of there at Copper, and she went there to learn skateboarding, some advanced skills on her skateboard, and they also have a mountain biking camp too. So it is open year round. It originally was kind of a locals place, but now it's again a destination resort. It's right off the highway, so easy to get to, and a good mix. Like I said, a good mix of slopes. If you stay, as you're facing the mountain, if you stay off to the right, that's where the intermediate slopes are. That's where I hang out most of the time. I used to go up there a lot in high school because my band director had a season pass there. So whenever he wanted all of the band kids who skied to go skiing with him, he said, we're going to meet at Copper at whatever. So we met at the Copper. And if you're off to the left, that's where the harder slopes are. So when I was younger and could do it, I was over on that side. Now I'm over on the other side, but very enjoyable. Kat says it's her favorite ski area, but she only has Copper and Loveland to compare. She hasn't been to any of the others. Anything else before I get up to Vail?
Not that I can think of.
All right.
I mean, this is ski areas.
It is.
I don't
it's all
know.
ski areas.
Oh.
Yay. So Vail, Beaver Creek. So Vail, there is something called Vail Pass, and you don't know it's a pass in the summer, but in the winter you sure do. Charles and I almost got stuck there once on our way home from California. The only reason we didn't stop is because we couldn't afford to stay in Vail.
No. There's a certain demographic that has abilities to stay in Vail.
Yeah.
And
even stopping to eat in Vail. Okay. I mean, I won't even stop at the McDonald's in Vail.
I've done it once. It was shocking.
Wasn't it?
Shocking.
Anyway, I won't buy a Big Mac in Vail. Anyway.
I have a great friend, though, who is one of the OG homeowners in Vail Valley. And she's known for having the only house with a pool.
Oh my gosh.
In Vail Valley. I was like, what do you have I mean, so anyway, she's a great lady. She's an amazing, amazing person. And can have a home in Vail Valley for a really long time. Well, she's Texan.
Oh, never mind.
So that
say no more.
I mean, you have a pool in your home in Texas, and so you have a pool in your home in Colorado, and she's an amazing woman.
10,000 feet.
She's an amazing, amazing lady. I love her to death. She's so amazing. One of the best connections I have from Texas.
So the base is only 8,000 feet.
Okay.
And you go up to 11,500-ish feet. 193 trails, 5,289 acres. It's the third largest ski area in the country. 55% of it is advanced expert, which surprises me because I always think of Vail as more of a intermediate ski area. Before it became what it is now, it was a place I would go fairly frequently. I mean, now it's too expensive and it's one of those resorts, right? But at the time it was cool. We went there many summers because the mining association had its annual meeting there, so Dad would drag Mom and I up so we could enjoy Vale Village.
It's beautiful.
It is. It's
beautiful country.
The village is based on Bavarian village style, so you look like you're in Germany in the Alps. It was founded in 1962, but before that, during World War II, they used it for the 10th Mountain Division training. It's been, at the time they called it No Name Mountain, and then in the 60s, obviously figured out that they could open it for skiing.
I will put the unit patch here.
It's a cool part of Colorado history, right?
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
Thank you again, History Colorado.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And then kind of one of its big claims to fame was President Ford visited there in the mid 70s to go golfing. And so that brought it a lot of recognition and kind of made it what it is today.
And that golf course is right off the highway.
Yes, it is.
Look
Is.
to the
Yes, it
left,
is.
and there's the golf course.
It's absolutely
It's
the
on
case.
the south side of the highway. Yep.
Yeah. And then I lumped Beaver Creek in with Vail, although technically they're two different ski resorts.
Well,
Close enough.
Beaver Creek is actually off of near the town of Avon, more than Vail, but off
so it's a bit more down the road then.
it is a little bit more down the road.
But they bus between the two.
Yeah. I mean, it's owned by the same company. A lot of folks that live in Vail actually live in Avon, or if they work in Vail, they live in Avon
and Edwards.
Yeah.
Because Edwards is just across the highway.
Yeah.
True.
So.
Yeah.
So if you're a X Games person,
Yes.
Vail, Beaver Creek, Copper, these are your ski resorts that they do those games in Colorado. Those three resorts in particular. So they kind of bebop between the three.
This area is where the true ski bums are. Yeah, no, this is because it's easy busing.
Well, okay.
They're easy to get to.
Yeah. Yeah. Not the ski bums that go live in the mountains and
No, I'm not talking about the surfer types.
right.
You
But the
know.
ones
Who can afford it?
and actually you can get a season pass that I don't think Vail's part of it, but Breckenridge,
No,
Copper.
they are.
Are they really?
Vail Resorts is part of it.
So all of the Summit County mountain ski areas, you can get a ski pass and go to
It's called the
of
Epic Pass.
any of those resorts. So that's kind of nice.
Not sponsored.
So Beaver Creek has a lot of history as a town. The ski area opened in 1980. They'd been trying to make a ski area there since the 60s, but didn't get around. It didn't open until 1980. And I remember because it was the new and cool thing to go try out when I was in high school. So it goes from 8,000 feet to 11-ish thousand feet and 167 trails. It's funny. It's when I was looking at the mix of experience levels, it's a pretty balanced mix, but I remember it as mostly advanced. And I think it's because it was the first, to my knowledge, I didn't look this up, so this is just Kristen, the first place to have double diamond ski slopes. Now they all have them. And so they probably just set up what the rating is to distinguish between a diamond and a double diamond. But of course, all of us in high school had to go figure out what a double diamond was and try and ski it.
Terrifying.
I got down the hill. I won't say it was graceful.
But that's the difference. It's terrifying versus Terra.
I did it just to say I did it. And it's another one that's known for golf. It has another excellent, from what I hear, golf place to golf.
For mountain golfing. So you'll see a running theme now between all of these these towns that are at elevation. Skiing is a big hunk of the reason you go, the big destination.
Yeah.
But remember, these are year-round towns.
They are.
Snow goes away, and they're great for mountain biking, mountain hiking, trekking up there. It's awesome. So we've kind of focused on the skiing now because that's really the bread and butter of these towns that are along this corridor. But there's a lot of cool stuff to do.
Well, and
they
work hard to make themselves year-round resorts now. So they do have kind of the Dude Ranch feel. Often, like the main lifts, not all of them, but 2 or 3 of the main lifts at each of these resorts work in the summer as well, so that you can go up to the top of the mountain and hike down,
or ride your bike down,
or there's even skis you can use on the grassy terrain.
I was just going to bring up grass skis.
Yeah. They exist.
They certainly do.
They're a thing you can do.
That's tearing up like a lot of
that's going to tear up yourself.
Like that's not sustainable. That's just like it kind of bugs me as a
it's for those that think they need to train on the hill during the summertime.
There are rocks that are exposed when
There's
the snow goes away.
Logs,
when you're talking
rocks, branches that stuck up out the ground.
Well, and when you think about 33 feet of snow in the winter, plus whatever snowmaking they do, that covers up a lot.
Oh, yeah.
It's what we're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
And some of them, so Breckenridge has the Alpine Slide, right?
Yeah.
And I don't remember if Keystone does too or not, but
I don't think so. I think Breck has it.
I think Breck is the only one that has it. But, you'd never know it was there in the winter because it's under 8,000 feet of snow. So it's, there's lots of summer things to do. And even I remember when I was, Vail was one of the first to have a gondola as opposed to just the open air lifts, and taking my grandparents up to the top of Vail in the gondola and having lunch up at the restaurant up there, and because you can ride it back down, and it was just a nice, enjoyable experience for grandparenty types to do in the summer. So lots to do.
It's high up there.
Yeah, but it's a beautiful view.
Yeah.
And then the last one along I-70 is Sunlight Mountain, which I've never been to, but you said I have.
Yeah, I've skied that one. It's your traditional mountain ski area where you've got a lot of runs. The cool thing about Sunlight is that all of the runs, no matter the color or the shape, they end at the ski lodge. So if you're skiing in and you're trying to meet your party, everybody ends there. One of the other big features that I remember skiing this, especially, and I only did the green runs, but there's this big kind of sweeping bend on one of the backside of that mountain, and you get this beautiful view. So that's one of the things with the easier runs is you don't necessarily get those cool mountain views that you do on those bigger, the diamonds or the blues or whatever. It's
some easy run. I mean, there's some.
Yeah, it's just
if it's wide enough, even though it's a blue, you can ski it like a green.
This one was this big sweeping side, and you got this really great view of the valley and being down, and it was really kind of cool to be able to be like, okay, I've skied Colorado now because I've got to see that quintessential view that you're expecting to see. And even though it was an easy run, you got to see it, and just kind of open spaces where you can get your skis under you and get used to it.
Yeah.
It is high. You are a good,
actually, it's deceptively not high.
Well,
comparatively,
the asthma kid feels like it's high.
Yeah, because it goes from 7,800 feet to 9,800 feet, 67 trails. So it is and opened in 1966. So it's been around a while.
So, but it's a great one. If you want a good family friendly, that one's a highly recommended.
And you have the awesome hot tubs at the bottom.
And you can stay in Glenwood.
That's right.
Which is our next stop along the way, and even get some skiing in. And Glenwood's a great historic town.
Yeah.
Oh, that's me. Okay. Yeah, we've gone through very quickly. We've gone through Eagle and Gypsum and blew right through those, right into Glenwood Springs. Glenwood Springs was an area that's been inhabited for 1,000 years. They really don't know how old it's been inhabited, but off and on, they've always been people there. The reason is because the area, again, is hot springs. Here we are again. It was originally set up by the European settlers as a camp during the gold rush time, and it was called Defiance. It was about in 1883 that it was founded by Isaac Cooper. I don't know who Isaac Cooper is, but I'll put his photo right here. Or if there is one. The name of the town changed to Glenwood Springs at the behest of Isaac Cooper's wife, who grew up in Glenwood, Iowa. So they named it after Glenwood. Let's see what else we got. It's the home of, like I said, several hot springs. It's also the final resting place of Doc Holliday
There you go.
of the OK Corral fame. Okay. Alyce, if you'll reach behind you, there is a picture of, there we go, Tombstone. I have
the movie cast.
I have the autographed copy movie cast of
And Val Kilmer
as Doc Holliday. Let's see, we've got Bill Paxton, Sam Elliott, and Kirk Douglas. No, not Kirk Douglas.
Kurt Russell.
There you
Kurt
go.
Russell, not Douglas. Russell. Anyway, so Doc Holliday spent his last days in Glenwood.
Mm-hmm. In a really cool Hotel Colorado.
Yes, Hotel Colorado,
Beautiful.
which is still there.
Yes,
I've stayed in it.
I have too. It's
I
so
have too.
good.
Yep. Both Kris and I and Kat have stayed there. Alyce has stayed there.
Yeah,
It's worth it.
so worth it.
Apparently it's also haunted.
Oh, very much.
The area of Glenwood is chock full of natural caves and natural caverns. So much so that the Yampa vapor caverns are there, and they are a natural occurring phenomenon of hot springs inside a cavern, inside an actual rock cavern. Above the town of Glenwood Springs is the Fairy Caves and the Glenwood Caverns. The Fairy Caves was a tourist attraction very early on, right around the turn of the 20th century.
And still going.
Yes, it is.
Well, it was closed for many, many years. And
Yeah,
then
it had changed hands back and forth. The property had changed hands. It had been fallen into disrepair because a lot of the tourists early on would go in and just
Touch.
break stuff off. Yeah, they break off stalactites and say, I got something from Colorado. Anyway, that all stopped once the newest owners took over the caverns and kept it and preserved what we have. That's why the area for the cavern portion, not the Fairy Caves, but the caverns, the Glenwood Caverns, has, for lack of a better term, hermetically sealed doors that you have to actually like walk through an airlock
Right.
before you go into the caverns to maintain humidity, temperature, and skin flakes.
Right.
believe it or
Yeah.
not.
I mean, yeah, you have to keep
and hair,
Yeah.
you know, lint and all that.
Yeah.
They keep that down to a dull roar as best they possibly can. It's worth the visit.
Totally cool.
It is really
It
neat.
is worth the visit. It's one of
beautiful.
the easier caves to walk around in. Much easier than Cave of the Winds down in Manitou Springs. And honestly, well, it's not quite as long or quite as big as Manitou.
No, but it's a living cave, unlike
Yes.
Manitou.
Manitou is still a living cave in portions.
In portions, but
Yes.
not the touristy part.
No, not the touristy. That's dry. But yeah.
It's dead.
You will get cave kisses in Glenwood,
Yes. You
which
will.
is so very cool. That's when the water drops on you from above. It's very fun. Let's see. What else have we got about Glenwood other than the fact it's a great place to stay?
Yeah, it is.
Well, the Colorado River runs through it.
Yeah, it's at, speaking of, the reason is called Defiance is because two rivers are a confluence, the Defiance River and the Colorado River.
And then go back and
Confluence and become the
Colorado
Colorado
River. Yeah. So that's really, it's kind of a meeting point of that.
After Glenwood Springs, you got Newcastle, Silt, and Rifle. And then you float down into Battlement, Mesa, and Parachute. Now
I did a little research
you
because
got
I
a
was like,
thing.
I was like, why do we call it parachute? Because we assume parachute as in flotation device. But it's actually named after Parachute Creek that runs through the town that merges another tributary of the Colorado River. But it was thought to be a mispronunciation of a Ute word that I'm going to butcher this one, but the Pakahook was the Ute word, and it got, which actually means twins, and then it was anglicized into parachute. So that's the research of getting its name done. So it was actually a Ute word that means twins and turned into parachute.
And there we are. And Battlement Mesa is named Battlement Mesa because it looks like a battlement, but it's a mesa.
But it's a mesa. So the difference between a mountain and a mesa is that a mesa has its top cut off. It's flat.
Right.
Whereas mountains have peaks. So there's a little geology, my geology lesson for you all.
The fun thing that I always laugh at is there is a mesa just outside of Denver. It's called Table Mountain. And when people call it Table Mountain Mesa,
redundant.
It's very redundant.
I
Table Mesa.
I think it's fun.
It's in Golden, and we call it Table Mesa, which is like saying pizza pie. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's fun.
It's the same word in two languages.
Yeah. After parachute, you fall down into Debequois, Debuque, Depec, yeah.
That town.
That town, again, we don't know how to pronounce it, and I will probably find a audio pronunciation
and put it in there.
And put it in here because that would be fun. And then we go down into Palisade and Fruitvale and Clifton and Orchard Mesa and Grand Junction.
Yay.
Because Grand Junction was the junction again of two rivers.
Big tributaries of the Colorado, and then the Colorado leaves through Grand Junction.
Exactly.
I would say that Grand Junction's probably the biggest city.
On the western
slope.
On the western side of the Rockies, yes,
right
it
before
is.
You hit Utah.
Yes, it is. It's honestly, it's worth a stop. I've had some wonderful times in Grand Junction. The first thespian convention that I was able to attend was in Grand Junction. It was wonderful. We had a grand time. But yeah, it's Grand Junction's history all stems around fruit. Let's see here. I got stuff about it. It was originally at one time it was called West Denver. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
It's very west.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah, crazy far away.
4 hours west.
It was discovered that a lot of fruit would grow there very well, so it became the Vineyard of the West. And it was Colorado wine country from almost right off the bat.
Well, we've mentioned Palisade peaches before.
Oh, yes, we have.
So this is that part of the country that produces them.
Exactly. And in this area, though, is an important national monument that I think needs to be talked about. Is the thumbnail for this video. It's Colorado National Monument. And honestly, this is Colorado's tiny, tiny little version of Monument Valley.
Okay.
We have arches, we have hoodoos, we have standing rocks, we have all kinds of fun things.
I get very car sick going through Colorado National Monument.
Rimrock Drive.
So every time we've gone there and we talk about it, I ought to like that PTSD of feeling like you're gonna hurl in the back of a car. That's where I'm at right now. But it is beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Gorgeous stuff. I just feel gross the entire time I'm in that place.
The area was first explored by John Otto, who settled in Grand Junction in the early 20th century. The area was established as Colorado National Monument on May 24th, 1911. Otto was hired as the first park ranger, drawing a salary of $1 per month. Yeah, he was killing it.
Not for profits.
Right. For the next 16 years, he continued building and maintaining trails while living in a tent in the park.
Oh, wow.
So the guy was committed.
Well, it's desert, so.
Well, yeah. But I mean, he was committed for it. He was there for it. The monument contains many hiking trails with the lengths and difficulties to suit all tastes. The summer storms can cause flash floods as well as dangerous trail conditions. Rattlesnakes are all over the place. We got those Western rattlers here. Okay. So yeah, be careful. Be careful. Yeah. Wear boots. Do not wear Birkenstocks. If you are going to be hiking in Colorado mountains, don't wear open-toed anything.
And if you see an animal, do not reach out and grab it. I'm going to give this PSA.
Here we go again. Yes.
Most rattlesnake bite victims are men in between ages 18 and 24. Because I'd like to touch it is ingrained in you. Don't understand. Anywho, don't touch them because they bite you. And rattlesnake venom is a neurotoxin that begins to degenerate the nerves and the muscle around the bite area to stop, and it doesn't allow clotting. So you bleed out, and it's gross, and it
festers.
It festers. Just you get infected right away because there's bacteria in the mouth of the snake as well. It's just gross. So don't touch them.
Yeah. Don't be that guy where
Don't
mountain
do it.
EMS has to come get you, take
Please.
you for antidote. Because
I care, people. Don't do it.
Yes. Anyway, yeah, don't touch the nope rope. Anyway, rough terrain exists everywhere in this area. They've been working very hard to try and get it to national park status. They've been working very hard.
I don't
know what the
I don't know where we stand on that.
I don't know what the holdup is.
Well, you have to have a whole
there's that. There's a lot of hoops to jump through.
And
there's a lot of hoops.
The expense of creating a national park is probably not priority right now.
Very true. The monument's feature attraction is Monument Canyon. It runs the width of the park and includes formations such as Independence Monument, the Kissing Couple, and the Coke Ovens. Basically, I will try and find photos of them and string them on through here. Let's see. The monument includes 20,500 acres, which much of which has been recommended to Congress for the designation as wilderness. So, in other words, you can't build there
or live in it.
Right. You can't live there. You can't build there.
Put permanent structures on it. You can't hunt in it.
Nope.
You can't. Yeah.
Nope. It must remain as it is.
As it is.
Very much true as it is. And that's my end little big narration of. And
we've hit the edge of the state. Like we're 50 miles from Utah here.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Right. After that's Bryce Canyon.
So we're at the end, but. It's a long stretch. It's 5 hours from Denver.
Yes.
If you don't stop from Denver to Grand Junction, it is 5 hours. And that's with no construction, middle of summer.
Right.
No stops for the bathroom.
No breakdowns.
Nothing. It is
no rock slides through Glenwood Canyon.
No
That's
fires.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
None of it. It's 5 hours away. So on a good day, it's an 8-hour trip.
Exactly.
It's a long way away.
It is. You can fly there.
You can.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's not worth it in my mind, but
I mean, it is.
Well, okay. I take that back.
Small aircraft.
I'm really into the small aircraft thing, so I'd do it, but again, I wouldn't because there's too much to look at on the way.
I know it's a destination where it's the journey.
The journey is
more exciting than the destination.
Yeah, the journey is the point.
Yeah.
So that pretty much wraps up tonight.
Yeah, it's the middle of our state. It's like in the all those things.
So now the question is, what do we do next? What's next?
Oof.
Because you've really, honestly, I think you've given the teaser of
how to ski in Colorado.
Ski Colorado.
I mean, we hit all the big ones. There are some others. I have them listed, which I'm not going to do now because we're already an hour and 20 in. But it is. Yeah, I mean, there are a few other resorts that are worth a mention.
And I do remember back in the 80s, the commercial, North Peak.
Here's the other thing, too. Yes, skiing is the big thing, but there's other winter things to do.
Absolutely.
So you can
Colorado and
you snowshoe and snowmobile and
in the last 30 years, it really has gone from Colorado ski country to just all kinds of
a winter wonderland resort.
Colorado Dew country. Yeah,
we are coming upon winter, so it might be, timely to start talking about what's going to happen up there in the hills.
Well, in that respect, maybe that's where we go.
Yeah.
You know?
Get ready for winter.
You know, I don't know. So next week then, snow time?
Snow.
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay. Because I wanted to kind of do snow time after we did the fall spoopy time.
It'll be snowy then too.
Very true. It is Colorado.
It's Colorado.
It snows on
we
Halloween.
could literally have snow next week.
In Denver, it snows on Halloween.
Oh, yeah. Always.
Anyway, so in 2 weeks, we will be doing Ski Colorado.
Sounds good.
And I will put the cheesy 70s promo for Ski Colorado right here.
And other winter sports.
Yeah. And everything else. Yeah. Anyway.
I did my best to talk about stuff other than skiing.
You did, and it was great. It was great. So, but yeah, that's going to be you. It's going to be pretty much you leading the next one.
Yeah. Yay.
So, there we are, folks. So yeah, Kris will lead the next one. And we will see you folks in 2 weeks. We have a very special trip coming up at the end of October for us. So yeah, more on that later.
We're getting away from the snow.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe. Hopefully.
But other than that, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you all next week. And please hit that like, hit the subscribe, hit the comments. It helps out with the algorithm to let me know that, people are watching. But thanks a lot, folks.
Thank you.
Let's go, Cookie Puss.